What's up, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with NIO, Tesla, SPY, and the overall markets. I'm going to break down what's going on with the economic calendar moving forward, talk about other factors out there for NIO, and what you should be watching for as time progresses. But just know that I am not a financial planner, so make sure you take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total, not to mention 8.1% APY on uninvested cash. The offer ends very soon in just a couple of weeks. Anyways, now let's talk about what's happening with the broader markets. Looking at NIO on the 4-hour time frame, we are looking a little bit more in favor of the bulls, as we're seeing some bears trying to defend it. As long as you don't lose $5, this could attempt to rebound for about 5.24, but do not let that kind of like take your attention away from this possible head and shoulders that's still developing. Even if we do get a small bounce, there is still ultimate downside that's still possible when you look at this current setup. But we have to lose $5 for confirmation. Haven't done that quite yet. So for tomorrow, it's going to be a crazy day. We have the election coming up. I'm going to first talk about some data, and I'll break down some more information about it. So just know this. The market saw a lot of technological stocks out there, not to mention retail in the red. So we saw the Amazons, the Googles, the Metas basically selling off. And then on the other hand, we saw some green and energy, but besides that, the majority of stocks were in the red. We even saw Tesla sell off quite a bit. So the majority of stocks were in the red, and we saw our ETFs follow that trend. There's a lot of fear building up in the markets right now. We're seeing momentum approaching fear as we're dipping, not to mention the fact that the puts and call option ratio, which is like right here, is going up because we're starting to see a lot more shorts piling into the market. So that's continuing. As far as earnings goes, let me just talk about this real quick. Just know that for today, we just got Palantir announcing their earnings. Also, Berkshire Hathaway have announced that they're holding over $300 billion in cash, waiting for potential buy opportunities. But I just want to make it very clear that Palantir had their earnings. And besides that, we just have Supermicro and a few more like ARM or ARM. Everything else is going to be quite minor. But for Palantir, they had good earnings. They ended up actually beating on EPS with 10 cents. Revenue was a beat as well. And good guidance, which is why the share price is up. Anyways, that's it for everything. Now I'm just going to talk about the election a little bit, then I'll talk about NIO stocks, some news about it. Then I'll start breaking down the share prices. So as far as the election goes, don't forget that it's going to be tomorrow. Tomorrow is Tuesday, November 5th, 2024. Tomorrow, 15 minutes after the market opens, we have the PMI report coming in that might cause some volatility. And then at 10 o'clock a.m., we have the ISM services data also coming out. So watch to see what this leads to. Get ready for some volatility as this ends up coming out. And besides that, we just have not really anything else that's going on after that until market close. Then we have, after that, we have the election results. So at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, look at the ISM services data. We'll see if that leads to some volatility. Besides that, it all hinges upon the election. So starting tomorrow, we're going to be finding out who is going to be the next president of the United States. Is it going to be the guy on the left or the person on the right? That we'll just have to wait and see. I do believe it's very important to note that whoever wins the election, they could even shake up the way the stock market continues to move because there's going to be a big shift in policy. So, one candidate wants to be a little bit more aggressive on China. That's not going to be as great for stocks like NIO. But right now, NIO is not really entering the US, at least for the time being. So it may not be affecting them as much, but over time, it could affect them. So that's the thing that's not so great about that. But I also think that they're going to follow the trend of Tesla simultaneously. So downward pressure would not be that hard because if we get a Trump victory, some stocks first off, Bitcoin's going to run because of the fact that he is favoring Bitcoin a lot of ways, not to mention stocks like Tesla. Some of them are going to be running. Other stocks are going to see some downside, but the majority of stocks, I think, still should try to hold up. And if Harris wins, I still think there's going to be some anomalies out there, such as like the Googles will still try to run. We're going to be looking for some tech stocks to run, but others are going to see some sell-offs because of the shift in policy. Tesla's going to likely sell off, and that could also affect NIO. So it all depends on who ends up winning, what kind of reactions we get. So get ready for that, guys. This is going to be very, very big. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be after market close, by the way, so make sure you're prepared just to be safe. As far as NIO's news goes, there is news right over here about how NIO's 7th International Import Expo will be held on November 5th through the 10th. This is when they're going to be once again unveiling the ET7 once again, showing its capabilities and many of their other new vehicles. So very, very cool stuff in my personal opinion. NIO is also planning to sell its first hybrid car overseas. According to sources, that's going to be around 2026 to 2027. That's when they're going to once again launch new hybrids under the Firefly brand. That is once again what came from suggestions made by their main investor from Abu Dhabi. So that is something worth noting. That is something that NIO is trying to enter, which is very big for BYD, and I think that this could be a very, very big hit for them. So something very cool could be coming out of that. Volume is very slow at 36.5 million. And then McGuire, JP Morgan are giving us just overweight / outperform ratings. So we'll see how things go. As far as NIO goes, we do look like we want to push a little bit higher tomorrow for 5.24, but we'll see if we get a rejection later on. If we lose $5, don't forget about this head and shoulders like structure that is still very much alive and present right now. So that could lead to a big dump. And we have resistance at 5.5. This could lead to a bigger dip, so be very, very mindful of that. For other factors out there, as far as SPY goes, SPY is once again looking a little bearish, but we'll have to see what the big reaction is after the election. Will we see the market rallies try to fill this gap and then eventually reject? Or will the market see a big rejection to fill this gap down here? We've dumped quite a bit approaching the election, so we'll see what kind of reaction we get once we get the results. It could go either way, but just know what tends to happen after elections is we do get an initial pump. That does look a little bit more probable to me, but just to be safe, we will have to wait and see depending on how the election goes. So ES is dipping, but we'll see if we get a bounce after the election or not. And then we'll see if we get a rug pull, so give it some time. But there is a strong possibility of a big move. Bitcoin's going to make a big move depending on who ends up winning. Will it see a big bounce or dump? We'll just have to wait and see as well. For others out there, we also have Tesla. Tesla is, hold on one second. Tesla's also selling off quite a bit. It's waiting for the election. If we get a Trump victory, this is going to bounce pretty hard. And if not, this could get an initial dip. Then we'll see what else ends up coming out moving forward. So that's something that's worth noting. We're just waiting for that. NQ looks a little bit more bearish. Could be dipping for about the below 20,000 before it attempts to see a big reaction to the election. QQQ is also a little bit bearish. It's trying to hold 484, so we might see a lot of consolidation tomorrow, and we'll see what the election leads to. Aapl is also selling off a bit. We'll see if it gets a bounce or not right over here. There's a divergence that's starting to form, and there's lots of buyers trying to defend 220, so we'll see how that goes. The IWM is already starting its push right here. Look for a dip to about 219, then a bounce back up for 221 as the most likely case. Coin has potential to bounce depending on who ends up winning. We'll see if this gets a bounce or not. Amazon's dipping. We're going to be watching to see a test of about 194. Will we bounce off that or will we see a dump? We'll just have to wait and see. Meta is dipping right now. We're looking for a test of 559, or if not a little bit lower. It might try to rebound tomorrow morning, just consolidate between 559 and 565 for the most part. But then we're just waiting for the election. This could be forming a wedge, though. If I'm going to be honest, this could be like a wedge. I'll probably talk more about that in another video. So we'll see. Microsoft could also be forming a wedge. We'll see if we get a bounce on it. It's still trying to hold the support around 405. So we'll see about that. Same thing with Google. Will we hold 170? So give it the time it needs. Anyways, that is it for my video. NIO has potential to try to push for 5.24 tomorrow, then consolidate as the most likely case. As long as we don't lose $5, we do have potential to try to get that little move. However, whether we get a big dump or a pump depends on different factors. So we'll see how things end up going. So make sure you watch your levels carefully. And don't forget about the election. There's going to be a very, very big reaction depending on who ends up winning. All right, so I thank you for listening. We'll see how it goes. The market some stocks look like they could try to rebound a little bit tomorrow morning. I'm expecting a lot of consolidation, a big reaction after the election. We'll see who wins. So be ready, guys, and do what you have to do. I thank you all for listening. Have a great day and peace out.